A low hum resonated through the cockpit as the alien scout ship glided silently into Earth's atmosphere. Commander the Lax, eyes narrowed and filled with the confidence of a seasoned conqueror, surveyed the green and blue sphere below. To him, Earth was just another target, a backwater planet ripe for the taking. His sensors, however, painted a different picture. Uncharacteristic static buzzed across the screens, and the atmospheric readings were scrambled. "Commander, we're experiencing interference," reported Sublieutenant Vrax, his voice tinged with unease. "It's like the planet's resisting our scans." The Lax scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "Earth is primitive. Its defenses will crumble like all the others. Begin the descent." As the ship breached the planet's atmosphere, turbulence rocked the vessel, harsher than expected. The Lax tightened his grip on the armrest, eyes fixed on the flickering displays. "Maintain course," he ordered, though doubt gnawed at the edges of his confidence. Meanwhile, in a secluded valley nestled within the Appalachian Mountains, Branson Kale was kneeling by a stream, filling a canteen. His sharp eyes caught a glint in the sky, unusual, considering the airspace was supposed to be clear. Years of military service had trained him to recognize anomalies, and this one set his instincts on edge. "Satellite? No, too low," he muttered to himself, rising to his feet. The air felt heavy, charged, as if the earth itself was holding its breath. Branson had retired from his life as a military strategist to seek peace in the wilderness. Yet peace was a fleeting luxury in a world full of dangers. He'd found solace in the untamed beauty of nature, but now that serenity was threatened. The old instincts, the ones honed in countless battles, roared back to life. He set off toward the woods, his movements swift and purposeful. The ground beneath his boots was damp, the scent of pine and earth thick in the air. His thoughts raced. Whatever had entered Earth's atmosphere wasn't ordinary, and it certainly wasn't friendly. He needed to investigate. Back aboard the alien vessel, the crew's tension was palpable. The turbulence had grown worse, and the ship's systems were malfunctioning at an alarming rate. Commander Thalax's confidence had eroded into frustration. "Initiate landing procedures," he barked, but the ship's controls responded sluggishly. Earth, it seemed, was not going to allow them a smooth descent. The ship crash-landed in a dense forest, the impact jarring and violent. The Lax staggered to his feet, fury blazing in his eyes. "Prepare the troops! We take this planet by force if we must!" As the aliens struggled to regroup, Branson had already closed in on their location. From the cover of thick underbrush, he observed the wreckage. Alien technology, advanced and sleek, now lay broken and smoldering. The invaders were disoriented, but still dangerous. Branson's mind worked quickly, assessing the situation. He had no weapon but the environment itself, an environment he knew intimately. This was his home, and no invader would claim it on his watch. He watched as the alien commander barked orders, their arrogance clear in every movement. They were predators on other worlds, but here they were the prey. Branson smirked to himself, a plan forming in his mind. "They have no idea what they've walked into," he whispered, retreating into the shadows. The forest seemed to whisper back, its ancient trees creaking in agreement. The hunt had begun. Branson crouched low, hidden within the dense underbrush, watching the alien invaders struggle to organize themselves. The crash had left them disoriented, but not defeated. Their leader, Commander the Lax, was rallying his troops with a voice that cut through the forest like a blade. "Secure the perimeter! We must not allow this planet's inhabitants to get the upper hand." Thalax's command was sharp, laced with frustration. The aliens moved with mechanical precision, their advanced armor glinting under the filtered sunlight that pierced through the canopy. Branson's eyes narrowed as he assessed the situation. The aliens were disciplined, but they were out of their element. Earth's wilderness was a far cry from the sterile environments they were likely accustomed to. Here, nature was both ally and weapon. He moved silently, his years of training guiding him through the terrain without a sound. The scent of damp earth and decaying leaves filled his nostrils, grounding him in the present moment. Every rustle of leaves, every distant bird call, was noted and catalogued in his mind. This was his territory, and he would use it to its fullest advantage. The aliens set up a perimeter, but it was clear they were uneasy. Their technology was advanced, yes, but it was also vulnerable. Branson had seen how they'd fumbled with their equipment, how their confidence had faltered when Earth's atmosphere had disrupted their systems. They were formidable, but they were not invincible. Branson's plan was simple: exploit their weaknesses, turn the environment against them. He moved toward a cluster of boulders, his gaze fixed on a section of the perimeter where the alien soldiers seemed more focused on their equipment than their surroundings. His mind worked rapidly, calculating the odds, weighing his options. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small, compact device, a military-grade jammer, one of the few pieces of tech he had kept after leaving the service. It was a relic, but it would serve its purpose. Branson activated the device and placed it against the rocks, masking its signal within the natural interference of the landscape. As the jammer hummed to life, the alien soldiers began to react. Their comms crackled, screens flickered, and frustration spread among their ranks. Branson watched as confusion took hold, the orderly perimeter faltering as the soldiers tried to recalibrate their systems. "Stay alert!" the lax barked, but there was an edge of desperation in his voice now. He knew something was wrong, but he couldn't pinpoint the source. Branson allowed himself a small, grim smile. He knew he couldn't take them all head-on. There were too many, and their technology far surpassed anything he had. But he didn't need to defeat them in a direct confrontation. He needed to outlast them, wear them down, and let the environment do the rest. The forest, with its tangled roots and shadowy corners, would be his ally. And in this primal landscape, the predator was not the one with the most advanced technology, but the one who understood the true nature of the hunt. As night began to fall, Branson retreated deeper into the forest, his presence fading into the twilight. The hunt was far from over. He was just getting started. The forest was silent save for the rustle of leaves and the occasional snap of a twig underfoot. Commander Lax stood at the edge of the perimeter, his frustration palpable as he surveyed the disarray among his troops. The jamming device had worked better than Branson had anticipated, sowing chaos within the ranks. "Status report!" the Lax demanded, his voice echoing with irritation. A technician scurried forward, her expression a mix of confusion and worry. "Commander, our systems are still offline. We're unable to communicate with the main ship or recalibrate our equipment." Thalax's eyes narrowed. "Find out what's causing the interference and fix it. We're not here to be hindered by a primitive planet's obstacles." In the underbrush, Branson watched the scene unfold. The aliens were scrambling, their advanced technology rendered nearly useless by the forest's natural barriers. He could see their frustration, their attempts to re-establish control. Branson adjusted his position, careful to avoid detection. He was aware that his advantage wouldn't last forever. The aliens would eventually find a way to counteract the jamming, and he needed to strike before they regained their full capabilities. He moved toward a nearby ridge, where he had previously set up a series of small traps, simple but effective devices designed to slow down and disorient. He could see the alien troops moving closer to them, their footsteps heavy and careless. As he prepared to activate the traps, he caught a glimpse of something unsettling. One of the alien soldiers, a towering figure clad in sleek armor, was moving with purpose, heading straight for his position. Branson's heart raced. This soldier was different, more focused, more dangerous. "Commander, the Lax suspects that we're being targeted," the soldier said, his voice carrying a cold, metallic edge. "We must find and eliminate this threat immediately." Branson froze. He hadn't anticipated a direct confrontation, especially not with a soldier of this caliber. The trap needed to be set now or risk losing his advantage. He activated the traps remotely, a series of concealed nets and explosive charges springing into action. The alien soldier walked into the first trap, the net enveloping him in an instant. The soldier struggled, but the net held firm, its material resistant to even the strongest of forces. Branson's hand tightened around the remote. He was about to activate the next trap when he heard a commotion from behind. The remaining alien forces had managed to restore some of their equipment. Their scanners, now operational, swept the area. "This is not good," Branson muttered to himself. "They're closing in." He retreated further into the forest, using his knowledge of the terrain to stay hidden. The aliens, though disoriented, were relentless. Their advanced technology was gradually overcoming the natural barriers of the forest. In the alien command center, Thalax's eyes blazed with fury as he watched the screens. The sight of his soldiers ensnared and his plans thwarted stoked his anger. "We cannot allow this planet to outwit us," Thalax declared. "Deploy the full force. We will root out this resistance and establish control." As the alien forces began their intensified search, Branson knew time was running out. The forest, once a sanctuary, was becoming a battleground. The invaders were adapting, and he had to act quickly to ensure Earth's defenses remained unbroken. The tension crackled in the air as Branson prepared for the next phase of his strategy. The stakes were higher than ever, and the outcome of this battle would determine the fate of both the alien invaders and the planet they sought to conquer. The forest was a cacophony of noise, alien machinery clanging, soldiers shouting, and the hum of energy shields powering up. Branson Kale crouched behind a massive oak, his heart pounding as the alien forces closed in. The once lush and tranquil landscape now resembled a battlefield, scarred by the invaders' relentless advance. Thalax stood at the command center, his frustration boiling over. The screens displayed the remaining soldiers struggling through the dense forest, their advanced tech barely cutting through the natural resistance. "Deploy the drones," Thalax ordered, his voice cold and commanding. "We end this now." Branson's eyes tracked the approaching drones. He knew the forest's natural defenses would be less effective against aerial surveillance. The time for stealth was over. It was time for a final, decisive strike. He set up his last trap, a series of explosive charges strategically placed along the main clearing. His movements were quick but precise, each placement calculated for maximum impact. As he worked, he felt a surge of determination. If he could just hold them off long enough, reinforcements might arrive, or they might just lose their resolve. The drones descended, their searchlights sweeping the area. Branson ducked low, his breath steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. The drones' mechanical whirring grew louder, their searchlights slicing through the underbrush. He activated the traps, the charges primed to detonate at the right moment. In the command center, Thalax watched as the drones zeroed in on the energy signatures Branson had left. "Prepare for ground assault," he ordered. "We will crush this resistance and claim this planet." Branson's jaw clenched. He had to time this perfectly. As the drones passed over the clearing, he triggered the explosives. The forest erupted in a series of deafening blasts, the shockwaves tearing through the alien forces and throwing them into disarray. The chaos was immediate. Alien soldiers scrambled, their communication systems disrupted by the blasts. Thalax's eyes widened in shock as the battlefield unfolded on the screens. "Fall back! Regroup!" he bellowed, though the order was nearly drowned out by the roaring explosions and crackling energy shields. Branson used the confusion to his advantage, moving swiftly through the chaos. He knew this was his moment. The invaders were vulnerable, their plans in disarray. As he emerged from the smoke and debris, he saw Thalax's enraged figure at the center of the chaos. The battle had reached its climax. Branson stood firm, his resolve unshaken as the fate of Earth hung in the balance. The outcome of this confrontation would determine whether the invaders would be repelled or Earth would fall under their dominion. In the midst of the turmoil, Branson's voice cut through the din. "This is Earth's last stand. And we will not fall."